Mr. Abdul Samad, member of Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, Mr. Jan Akzai, dear friends, Assalamu alaikum. I am the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Chinese Embassy here in Pakistan. On behalf of the Chinese Embassy, I would like to congratulate the Social Media Summit, and it is really an honor and a pleasure for me to attend this conference to learn from you. I'm just a new student of social media, and first of all, I think we have just heard the good news of the election of the second term of President Xi Jinping. So I think we should warmly congratulate him on his re-election as president of China. President Xi, I will start from President Xi, okay? Maybe I should also, just now I mentioned I'm a new student of social media. I will maybe say a few things about how I began to started to use the social media. So I begin by congratulating President Xi, because during his last 5 years, he has made a lot of achievements. First of all, in the last 5 years, China's GDP has increased from $8 trillion to about $12 trillion. And the per capita GDP is also increased from about 6,000 to almost 9,000 last year. And also, during this last 5 years, China has achieved a lot in poverty alleviation. For the last 40 years, 700 million people have been lifted out of poverty in China. And in the last 5 years, 68 million people has been lifted out of poverty. And this is the best results in the history of China. And also, President Xi has set up a goal to eliminate all the poverty in China by the year of 2020. It is not far. And according to our experts, so we have to lift one person out of poverty every 3 seconds. And that is 20 people every minute. So President Xi has promised that not a single person will be left behind, when poverty alleviation is completed. The third thing, during President Xi's tenure is, anti-corruption drive. You must have heard the story of, this tiger and flies. Tiger refers to those, in terms of your system, is like a state minister or a secretary above. So in this last 5 years, 5 years, not only 1 year, about 400 tigers has been brought down. And in the last 5 years, 1.5 million officials has been brought down. Maybe you are very curious because sometimes when some of your political leaders raise these numbers, you will question, so how many ministers do you have in China's cabinet? It is not only in the cabinet. We have the government, we have the party system, we have the National People's Congress, which is like National Assembly. We also have this CPEC. We also have a military, the League of the Communist Party. So we have also, 31 provinces. So they also have these parallel systems. So we have a huge number of ministers. So President Xi, has done really a good job and has earned tremendous trust among the people. And number 4, his signature project is this, in Pakistan you always refer it as OBOR. What is that? Yeah, in China we always say it's BRI, which is the similar thing, it's the Belt and Road Initiative. And among the BRI, there are at least 6 or 7 economic corridors. But among all the initiatives, CPEC is the most important and major project under this BRI framework. So I will just give you a few figures. According to the unofficial statistics from our embassy, now 20 projects are either completed or under construction under CPEC. The total amount of those projects is about 18.5 billion US dollars. So there are more than 30 projects under CPEC is in the pipeline. I see in the pipeline is, for example, they are maybe in the stage of feasibility study. Maybe they're doing the design or the detailed designs. Maybe they are still negotiating the commercial contract or the financing agreement. So this 20 projects is only those I'm referring to when the groundbreaking ceremony has been held and those projects are under construction. So what are the benefits of CPEC to Pakistan? First of all, in terms of GDP, now, Pakistan, I don't know, there is no figure for last year yet, but the year for the 2016, it is 5.3%, which is twice more than the average speed of the world economy. And CPEC has also helped to solve the 2 bottlenecks faced by the Pakistan economy. One is the energy crisis, another one is lack of infrastructure. If you compare with 5 years ago, in Islamabad is about 7 or 8 hours of load shedding. Today it is almost 0. And for the infrastructure, China is also helping Pakistan to build more highways, motorways, to upgrade the railway. Maybe later you can also build the bullet trains. And for this motorway, mainly we are talking about, from Lahore to Karachi, by the end of 2019, that is by the end of next year, except one small part, then you should have a motorway open to traffic from Lahore to Karachi. And also, the highways or the motorways on the western route and the central route are also under construction. It will be expected maybe by the end of this year, those highways or motorways will be ready. So this is number 1. Number 2, I think CPEC has always provided a lot of opportunities for the local businessmen. You can see that because of the projects, especially under CPEC, the demand for iron and steel, for cement, even for sand and rocks are on the increase. So it has brought a lot of business to the local businessmen, and I think this is because as for China and other countries, we have to because Pakistan and China, we are all developing countries. So the first priority for us is to try our best to become a developed country. How can we do that? The only path to development is industrialization. So after we helped Pakistan solved these two bottlenecks of economic development, so the next step is to accelerate the pace of industrialization. But how? So we are trying to identify at least 9 special economic zones so that we can set up more and more factories in these zones so that you can have a faster industrialization. Because that's the only way to get rich, to become a developed country in future. And the third thing is, of course, jobs. I can just give you one example. The largest project under CPEC is, we call it motorway number 5. That is from Sakar to Murtan. This project alone, the lady may provide you, more figures for her plant. This M5 project alone is providing 22,000 jobs to the local people. And number 4 is, taxation. The CPEC project has not only brought tax to the federal government, but also to the local government and the local people. And of course, the CPEC projects has brought, a lot of people's well-being project. For example, hospitals, when we call it the CPEC emergency hospital has been built in Gawada. That is the first one. It was built by the Chinese Red Cross Society, and the society has sent a dozen Chinese doctors working in that hospital in Gawada, and after 2 years they will donate this hospital to the Red Crescent Society of Pakistan. And the Chinese government is also helping Gawada to upgrade a hospital from 50 beds up to 150 beds. In Gawada, there is a primary school was built. The design capacity is 150 for a primary school. But later, there are about 400 students, in this school, and the local government has decided to upgrade this primary school to a middle school. And also, we are planning to start these training centers. At least there is one in Gawada. There is another one in Quetta. Is in the University of Science and Technology in Quetta. Is there anyone from Quetta? Okay, you can check later. It's called CC, is a CPEC Center of Excellence. And a Chinese university from Tianjin has come to Lahore. They are working with one local university. They also started a vocational training center in the city. So CPEC in Pakistan is a across-the-board consensus. It is supported by the people, by the political parties, by everyone in Pakistan. But it is really highly appreciated from the Chinese embassy. But however, there are some noises. Maybe this is only a very small group of people. They see, for example, I will just name some of them. They see that the Chinese government is sending the death prisoners to Pakistan to work on the CPEC projects. This is the joke of the day. And we all know that they are spreading these lies. How can any government send prisoners to work in another country? And also, some of them say that these power plants built by the Chinese companies, especially those coal-fired power plants, are polluting the country. So in China, 50 million people died because of pollution from the coal-fired power plants. If you just imagine if 50 million people died in China from last year, so even China has a population of 1.3 billion. So China's population should be eliminated to zero already. So for the coal-fired power plants, in China we have thousands of coal-fired power plants, and we have the state-of-art technology. And maybe there is after me there will be a lady from a power plant in Balochistan. She will tell you more about this super critical technology. And this technology is the best among the world. The Chinese companies are spending years, at least 2 or 3 years, to build one power plant here. And certainly they are not second-hand. They are brand new and with the latest technology. And I should say they are also environmental friendly. I should leave some talking points to the lady anyway. And so this coal-fired power plant propaganda, I see this is the joke of the month. And then some other people say that the Chinese projects are offering high interest rates. They are giving a high insurance fee of 7%. They are also earning a high return from the project. I should say this is a joke of the year. The Chinese companies are working here in Pakistan according to the Euro practice internationally. Because if the Chinese projects are operating at an exorbitant interest rate, if they, for example, has borrowed from a Chinese bank at the rate of 20% or 10%, how can this project be feasible? So if you think not with your head, if you think with your feet, things will not happen like this. About this insurance fee is another joke. The Chinese companies, if, for example, they are working on a power plant in Pakistan, usually, they have to get, this project insured by, for example, in China, the largest insurance company is Sinosure. This insurance company is always charging a 7% fee on the project. This kind of project, usually it lasts 30 years. So they are not charging this project, every 1 year. So they are charging it in one go. So every year, if you divide this 7% by 30 years, so every year is about 0.2%. But somebody are telling you that the Chinese companies, for example, if they borrow from the banks, the international level is about 5%, then they added this 5% to 7%, so it comes to 12%. But actually it should be added as 5 plus 0.2%. It should be around 5.2 instead of 12%. And they're also talking about the high return of the Chinese companies, especially on the energy projects, especially the charcoal power plant. This is also not true. This policy, this tariff is set up by NEPRA. It is not designed for Chinese companies. This is designed for everybody. Now, those, especially those Western companies, they are crying that because they could not enter Pakistan, say in 2014 or in 2013, because at that time Pakistan was very bad in terms of security. But now the Chinese company came, and they are complaining, the Chinese companies have got high returns of these projects. Actually, this is a policy for everybody, and the Chinese companies are not receiving any special privileges. So if those Western companies has missed the bus, they should come to Pakistan right now. They should come to Pakistan to invest, because Pakistan is a fast emerging country in terms of economic development. This is number 3. Number 4, some people are claiming that CPEC will lead Pakistan to a debt trap. This is the joke of the decade. Why should I say so? Their argument is, for example, CPEC is $60 billion US dollars. And then after 30 years, Pakistan has to return $90 billion US dollars to China. Oh my goodness, $90 billion US dollars. This is a huge, not hill, it's a mountain of debt. This is totally not true. I can give you some other figures, which you can have the confidence to believe in me. Because I am the officer in Chinese embassy who is mainly involved in these CPEC projects. According to a estimate based on those government-to-government projects, the figure for the if you for example, the total amount of this the estimated amount of this CPEC is $60 billion US dollars, among which only $15 billion US dollars are soft loans. We say government-to-government loans, which is has a rate of about 2%. So only this part it is counted as the debt from the Pakistan government. I just mentioned to you that those projects on the ground is only 18.5 billion US dollars. So for these projects, even a much smaller amount is counted as the soft loans. So even you give the highest estimate, it is one. For example, if you base it, if you see the total amount is 60 billion US dollars instead of 18.5, the soft loans is only about 15 billion US dollars. Then if you count it by 2%, how can you come to this 90 billion US dollars? According to the Mr. Ishrat Hossain, the former governor of State Bank of Pakistan, he is an expert, I am not. His estimate is that Pakistan's annual payment of the government to government debt every year is only 900 million US dollars. See, suppose Pakistan, you have a foreign exchange of around 20 billion right now. So 900 million for you is just a cup of tea. And this doesn't take into account of the FDI bringing by the Chinese companies, and also this doesn't take into account of the benefits that the factories will earn a lot of dollars or foreign exchange for Pakistan later. So this is number 4. And number 5, some other people is also referring CPEC to the East India Company. I say this is a joke of the century. So that's why, these noises are the main reasons that has led me to use the social media also as a weapon to counter these negative narratives. So I see I'm a new student. What did it mean to me in terms of Twitter? I got my account verified. I made 30,000 tweets, expressed 60,000 likes. I followed 120,000 friends, and I also got 230,000 followers. So Twitter opened a new window for information and for making friends. So I was sometimes called one of the most active diplomats in terms of Twitter and social media. So I have actually a lot to learn from you. For example, for this HT, or is hashtag trending. Luckily, those people who are against CPEC hasn't learned this good tool. But I always saw this hashtag trending by your social media teams in favor of CPEC. You are the best. So I also try to, with the help of your some of your social teams, I started some, for example, question and answers Q&A is called the hashtag Ask Lijian Zhao. I don't know Maybe some of you participated in that. And I also tried to reach as many as people, especially those people on the social media, through Twitter and through Facebook. And also, in China, we use WeChat. WeChat we think is more useful and easy to use. Maybe you can also have a try. You can reach more Chinese friends anyway by WeChat. And I really appreciate that, especially those social media teams. You are not only using Twitter to defend CPEC, you are highlighting, the issues, the problems faced by the country. You are highlighting, the solutions or recommendations, to the government. You are using the social media as a weapon, as a tool to express your opinions. I think you are doing a good job. It should be highly appreciated. I mentioned about the CPEC because the CPEC is the talk of the town. Actually, beyond CPEC, we are also doing a lot. I just mentioned a few. For example, under CPEC, we have about 40 or 50 projects. But beyond CPEC, we have nearly 300 CPECs. Around nearly 300 projects outside of this framework. And China has become the largest source of FDI for Pakistan consecutively in the last 4 years. China has become the largest trade partner for Pakistan in the last 2 years. And China has also, the Chinese companies have been working with the Pakistani companies here. You have the largest number of contracts of contract engineering. Pakistan has also become the largest recipient of Chinese aid. The largest project, maybe it is the Gwadar International Airport. I can report to the latest progress to you. In the last November, the implementation minutes were signed, and now they are working on the design of the airport. It will be completed by May, and hopefully, we can have the groundbreaking ceremony this year. So. We also have, the largest number of Pakistani students in China. If you see in which country Pakistani students are going, the number one country is China. I can quote some figures. This is not my speculation. It's based on figures. Those students going to Pakistan, you can double check later, is around 5,000. This is the figure I got from the government. And those number of students going to the UK is about 14,000. What is the number of students going to China? According to our official number, it is about 18,000. But according to unofficial figure from your embassy in Beijing, the number is about 22,000. I believe this figure is more credible. So I think I've been reminded that my time is up. So I sincerely wish that this social media summit is a full success, and I hope that you may use the social media as even a better platform to deliver a positive narrative about China, about Pakistan, about China-Pakistan friendship. May I wish the flower of China-Pakistan friendship become even more beautiful. Thank you. China-Pakistan, Tuesday, Zindabad.